Hello and welcome to another edition of B.E.P. Talks, where it is my pleasure and privilege, I must say, to introduce you to amazing people from the cross section of the world, people who are experts in different subject matters, who share their beliefs, their experiences, and their passions, all to motivate you, educate you, and engage you. And today I am particularly thrilled to introduce you. I'm such a big fan of this woman. I'm here today to introduce you to Amy Dix. Good morning,
Aw.
Amy.
Good morning. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much. Love
I
that.
just, well, I am such a big fan of yours, and I hope you get that. And I'm just looking at your background that says choose happy. And when I think of you, I actually think of the word happy.
Uh,
And
that
I
is
think when you think of the word happy, you feel happy.
I mean, I certainly hope so, right? I hope when you
Yes.
think of the word happy, you don't feel depressed or sad or anything. But thank you. I mean, that's just such an amazing compliment. And I'm happy that I show up in the world that way and that I am perceived that way. So thank you
You
so
do.
much.
You have like this, and I mean this, you have like this animation quality about you. You truly, visually and through your voice, you truly come to life. And I have to imagine that that's who you are authentically. I don't
Yeah.
doubt that at
Yeah.
all. You can't fake this. But I also believe your experience as a speaker. First of all, let me just say you are a two-time international best-selling author. So kudos on that. And one of your books that made it to that status is called Brand New You. And I love the brand new, like recreating yourself or branding or kind of a combination of the two because they really do go together. Am I
Yeah.
perceiving that title correctly?
Yeah, that's so interesting. I haven't told that story in a long time, but that title of the first book, I remember exactly where I was. I was in my living room in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I was on the phone with my publisher and he goes, "I think I have the name of the book." And I was like, "Oh, I'm so excited. What is it?" And he goes, "I think we should call it Brand New You." And I just stopped. And I thought, and I don't know if I really like that. I told him. And then I go, I'm gonna have to think about it. And then got off the phone and it kind of then started settling in and I fell in love with it. And I thought, man, he is a genius. That is
Mhm.
actually so good. But for whatever reason, in that moment, I had to like sit with it. It just like it didn't punch me at the time. And now I can't imagine it being called anything else, of
Anything
course.
else? And again,
Yeah.
that kind of that duo, what it kind of invokes the feeling. What is the brand new you? So you're a former event planner, and if I understand the backstory correctly, being an event planner, you certainly had a perspective of the anticipation of your clients who you were planning events for, and also the anticipation of whether it was the audience, the attendees, the guests at an event. So you were kind of, balancing that. And that's what brought you to realize or to notice a perspective that brought you into the arena of public speaking. Talk to us a little bit about that, please.
Yeah, I had an event planning company when I lived in Denver, and I mean it serviced the entire United States. I don't even think I did an event. I think I did one event in Denver, so that part doesn't even matter. But um, it really what it gave me was a ton of perspective of behind the scenes, right? Like what happens behind the scenes. I was already a very planning person that comes from my parents. Everything was planned, everything was on a list. And so the actually having the event planning company came very, very natural to me. And I loved the part of getting speakers to come in, like hiring the speakers, getting them on stage, listening to the speakers. And, it was really the part about becoming a speaker actually came before I had the event planning company. I was sitting in the audience of an event, and this gentleman was speaking. His name is Clint Swindell, and he was speaking, and the whole time I thought, I could do this. I could do this. That looks so much fun. And he had a book and he was doing a book signing. And I thought, man, that is amazing. Right. So that was like a few years probably prior to becoming and starting my event planning company. And crazy enough, I just got back from a speakers conference and he was there and I got to reconnect with him, which was such a beautiful moment. But anyway, so taking that, like that fire, if you will, from that moment of sitting there watching him, like having that fire going, oh, I so want to do this, combining that with being an event planner, planning the event, seeing the behind the scenes stuff, and then kind of merging those two worlds together is probably what gave me like the push, right, to move forward and actually engage in a speaking career.
So a speaking career, and I heard you say that over in an 18-month period, you spoke on 97 stages.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I would leave on a Sunday typically and come back on a Thursday or Friday. And, I used to joke with my dog sitter that she was actually the parent of my dog. And I was just watching her. I was the sitter on the weekends for 2 days before she had to go back. That was kind of my life for a period of time. And yeah, I loved it. It was a blast. It was fun. It was amazing to be on the road. It was great for me. It's probably not the best. It's probably not like a dream life for everyone, but it was great for me. And
Well, you're such a natural at it. My goodness. So from there, you are now the founder, the president, the CEO of Authority Speakers Agency. What brought you now from that stage of your own public speaking career to now helping others become public speakers and finding their stages?
Yeah, thank you. It's such a privilege to be able to do what I do. And, I just kind of thought back when I was looking for speaking engagements, trying to start my career, wondering if it could even be a career, what is like the help that I needed at that point that I couldn't find, and that's really a piece of how Authority Speakers Agency started, is just like this fire in me to want to help emerging speakers to do what it is that they want to do, to get their message and their positive messages on stages and be able to deliver what they want to deliver so that they can make the difference that they want to make, right? And that looks different to everyone. And so I was actually I was teaching this to my publisher's authors, and he kept saying, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. I'm like, no, I'll just teach your authors, it's fine. I'm traveling, I don't have time for any of this. And then finally I started, because people just kept asking me, like, can you help me? Can you help me? So of course, you get asked enough and you'll kind of go down that road. So started going down that road, and then actually ended up partnering with my publisher on the whole venture of Authority Speakers Agency, which has been such a beautiful partnership, so amazing. And we get to do some really cool things for emerging speakers.
Wonderful.
And it just
Wonderful.
feels amazing every day.
And that's why you are so happy.
Yeah.
So you say the word career. Can public speaking on stages be a career?
Yeah, I think you got to look at it based on like what your goals are, right? So, and you almost have to define career. So, are you saying career where you go, you get on stage, you get paid, you walk off, and then that's the end? Like, can you make a career out of that? You can. There's a very small percentage, I would say, of the speaking industry and speakers who actually do that. Most have some sort of back end offer or work,
Right.
some other company that's related to their speaking. So, I think what speaking really does is it puts you in front of the right audience with
Right.
your message in order to make the changes that you intend to make for the world. And it's just a really great way to get in front of those people. Like, I consider this speaking right here, right? Like, this is speaking, we have an audience. Yeah. So I think sometimes too, we have to define, like, when we're talking about, can you make it a career? Well, yes, absolutely. I believe you can. And you, not only do you have to define career, but I think you have to define stage, right? Like, what is a stage? And too
Right.
often I think we put the word stage or speaking engagement into like this tiny little bottle which just means like a live stage in front of hundreds of people, and a stage could be many things. I consider this a stage. I consider when we do, online workshops a stage. I consider PR and TV and media a stage. So it's just a matter of, finding those stages and then saying yes to them. I always say, like, if you're a speaker, if you call yourself a speaker, then you need to speak, which means you need to say yes to the opportunities, right? Like, we can't just come in here and be like, I'm Amy the speaker, but I've never spoken before, but I know I want to, right? So you got to say yes to all these opportunities. And that's what gains you the momentum to keep rolling.
Yeah. And as we say, even on beptalks.com, all the world is a stage.
I love that. Yeah.
And well, William Shakespeare, don't give me credit. William Shakespeare said it. I'm just passing it along. So in this world, the digital world in which we live, this is a stage. So it makes it, I guess, more possible for people because you don't have to get on a plane and travel and live out of a suitcase and keep, climbing up in front of a live audience. Has it become a more populated industry because it's more easily facilitated now?
The speaking industry has changed so much over the last 10 years. At the time of this recording, just to give some context here, we're in the middle of 2023. So we're post COVID or post pandemic, and I think a lot of people think that the speaking world like changed with the pandemic, and I don't believe that. I believe that it did change, but that wasn't like the defining moment where like everything changed. I think the industry was really shifting long before COVID, long before the pandemic, where we're in this world of creators, of influencers, of entrepreneurs, and that then naturally lends itself to more speakers, right? They want that kind of cohort wants to be on stages because it can help them, it can help their business, it can help their influence, it can help their credibility, authority, all of the things, right? So I see the speaking industry from your question, that it has become much more populated long before the pandemic. Now, I think what the pandemic did then is change things, kind of what you were suggesting as well, more virtually and having that opportunity from a virtual perspective. So you have two things that have really changed. Like 10, 15 years ago, being a speaker looked really different than does today. We were just talking to an event planner the other day who said they are trying to hire for 2 keynotes and they had 372 applications and they only needed 2 keynotes. That didn't happen, 10, 15 years ago. Right. So it's really, it's really accepting where we are as an industry, and then creating that strategy to go out and be able to do what it is that you want to do for your speaking career.
Right. So let me ask you, when someone is a speaker, they're on stage, are they the product or are they the promotion? You kind of said that it was often a back end. So is it a combination of the two? You have to, engage and want people to move forward with you. So are they the product? Is the speaker the product?
So I often say, fantastic question. Okay. So I often say this, your speech is actually like, if let's just start from the perspective of an event planner hiring you, right? So from that perspective, your speech is the product. They're hiring your message, your speech, not necessarily you, unless there is a component in there. If you are a celebrity or have some sort of celebrity stat, they might be hiring you as the person, right? But first and foremost, they're trying to solve this problem. They're trying to fill this need. That need is not Amy Dix. That need is not energy on the stage, fun little 5 foot tall girl from Nebraska running around. That's not the product, right? The product is the message. So based on what their need is, then secondary to that would be the person. So that's how I kind of look at it. Now, once you get there, right, then now that's a little different, because now your buyers, if you will, initially your buyer, your decision maker, your audience is the event planner, the person hiring you. Then when you get to the stage, then your buyer, your audience becomes the butts and seats, right? The people on the other end, or the people watching you, whatever. So then your product really, again, is very similar. It is the message that you have, the knowledge that you're providing, the inspiration that you are providing. You are just the vehicle in which gets to relay that information so that it sits with them, so that they can connect with it, right? And so look, like, this is the easiest example I can come up with is, I speak on happiness. I can't think of anything more general than happiness, right? And there are a million other speakers that speak on happiness. So it's not necessarily the way that I deliver it and it sets with you might be different than the way somebody else delivers it and it sets with you, right? So it's the message, the need that we're trying to fill primarily, and secondary, it's the person and the vehicle.
So you have the messenger and you have the message.
Yes.
And when the two of them, I guess, obviously come together in great alignment, that's really a good moment, especially for the audience. So content, style.
What comes first, or what's more important?
How do you can you have somebody who's like, oh, not much of a personality, but boy, they said a couple of things in there that really resonated with you, and you just need to find out more, or is it just the balance of the two, and who's in the audience?
Look, I think it takes all kinds to make the world go round, right? So like, if I come on the stage and I'm motivating and painting and have this high energy and all this stuff, yeah, that might work for a lot of people in the audience, but it might not work for everyone. Some people might find that obnoxious. Some people, don't want to get up on their feet and stand up and cheer and, all those things, like that turns them off. So, I think I'll go back to being an event planner. I think this is like really when you're putting on an event or a show like yours, you're not going to have all the same people on the show all the time, right? You're going to have like different personalities.
Yes.
That's crafting the event. That's crafting the experience. And so, I think of it this way too. Sometimes we'll see celebrity speakers on stage, and that's fantastic, right? Because they bought them for the celebrity status. They're on stage maybe for their celebrity status, but they might not be the greatest speaker in the room. But look, we're going to listen to them because of what they have achieved, right? Because of their experience.
Yeah.
So they might not deliver it in the best way, but it's still going to resonate with us. So it takes all kinds to make the world go round.
It does. So I've heard, I'm sure you have in your business, that people are more afraid of public speaking than they are of death.
Yeah. I do love addressing this. This actually came from a study in the 70s, and what they did, and the study is a little flawed, so let me outline what the study was. What they did was they asked people, what is your greatest fear? And there was no choices. There was just an open-ended question. And so that's why it's a little flawed. So what came in then was that public speaking was the greatest one out of all the answers. So it was the most, but that study also shows that people are more afraid of insects than they are death, right? So so
Or
you
just
gotta
by
kind
an
of,
insect bite. Yeah.
yeah. Now there's been like further studies from there that have ensued that still show that public speaking is right up there, with fears. But as far as it being the number one fear, over death, it's a little subjective to what this study actually was. However, there is a big fear of public speaking, and I understand that, and I can see that, with folks. And I'll just come back to this. It takes all kinds to make the world go round. Like, not everyone is meant to be a public speaker,
Right.
Somebody just said to me last week, I had an event, and after the event, I was leaving, and she said, "Hey, I just want to thank you for all of your energy. That's awesome, but I could never do it." And I said to her, and I go, "That's great, because can you imagine a world full of Amy Dixes? Like, it would be too much, it would just be too much. I would hate it. Like, it just wouldn't work." And so I said, "We need people like you too, so."
No, that is so true. A few more Amy Dix people in the world would not be a bad thing. Let me just say that. So men versus women, I don't mean in a competitive way,
Yeah.
but just from a statistical
Yeah.
perspective, who's on stage more?
Yeah, I mean, historically, it's been men, right? And if I really want to break it down, historically, it's been white men. I see the industry changing, and which is fantastic. And more women on stages, more minority on stages. I just came from a speakers conference, which I just said. There were, out of like the main talks, there were more minorities and women on the stage than there were, the traditional men. So that's great. It's very refreshing to see, because again, it takes all kinds to make the world go around. And I think that, like, decades ago, that's kind of all we thought of as public speakers were men, but just as in life, in many industries, women are breaking through, and we have things to say too.
Oh, yes, we do. Oh, yes, we do. And we're worth listening to.
Yes.
So how does somebody take that first step? How does someone say, I'm ready? Like you said, you're in an audience, and I've been in that audience, and I've been in the audience where there's a celebrity up there, and I'm not really so impressed, but I said they did something to get there and to have that status, so that it is kind of a stepping stone. So how does someone know that he or she is ready? I want to be on a stage.
Yeah, I think the first part is what you just said. Like, you want to be on the stage, right? Like, you recognize that that's what you want to do. So once you recognize that that's what you want to do, as with anything in life, then it's taking the steps to do that. And it's as simple as, I'll go back to what I said earlier, if you want to call yourself a speaker, you need to speak. And so then it's really just finding those opportunities. And a lot of them are in your back door, right? Like, they're right outside your front door. They're right here in your backyard. So you can always start somewhere and find those opportunities.
So I think that would be the challenge, to say, okay, I'm ready. I have something to say. I think I'm worth listening to. I think that there's a market out there to hear what it is I want to say and deliver. But where do I find the stage? Thus comes in authority speakers.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and that's just it, right? So I'll take that and tie the word momentum again to it. And that's what we really help emerging speakers do, right? Is to get those. They could be initial stages, or they could be speakers who have, kind of been doing this for a while and want to find the stages, but maybe don't know how to, or they just don't want to put in the time for them to do it. That's then what we do, right? Is we help build your authority, your credibility, position you as a speaker. Maybe I skipped that step is the whole positioning piece. Yeah, you want to do it, you got to go speak, but there is like this positioning piece to position you as a speaker. And so that's what we do, right? So we build that positioning, the authority, and then we go out and actually find the stages for speakers so that they can build on that momentum and keep going. Because that's the beautiful thing about speaking, is like it is a snowball. And so when that ball is rolling, you're off to the races,
So once the lid is taken off, it's kind of, you can't put it back on, right?
Yeah.
You're just kind of out there. And again,
that.
you being on 97 stages in 18 months. I mean, do the math. It had to be sad though, when you got home and your dog didn't recognize you anymore. That couldn't have made you happy in that moment. So authority speakers, I think that's probably, shall I call it, the missing link for a lot of people to say, I want to be on stage. I think I would be good on stage, but where is the stage? And as we've said, all the world is a stage. So that is where authority speakers agency comes in. And correct me if I'm misrepresenting this, but representing you, the potential speaker, getting you out there, getting you booked, and then from there you say the momentum can kind of define and declare itself.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's why, I say it's such a privilege and we get to do fun things. Like I can't think of anything more fun than booking stages for people and giving people their moment and giving people their opportunity to get their message out. That's just like sitting in them. And I think when people identify that they do want to speak, it's almost like this fire that you need to let out of you. And if you don't, it just keeps boiling and boiling and boiling inside of you, and so we help to bring that fire out of you so that you have that opportunity. And so that's why it's just such an amazing thing. And it's really a void in the market, I think, that, that we filled.
For
And
sure it is.
Yeah. So
for sure it is.
feel really
Absolutely.
lucky to be able to do that. Yeah.
So I want to say to viewers, and to those of you who are viewers who know people who you have said you should be on a stage, you have a great story to tell. You should this, you should that. As you said earlier, when enough people are kind of saying that to you, it's kind of like the evidence is almost there. So you need to connect. I want to just let people know where they can connect to authority speakers. Let me just put the old enhancers are here and say it's very easy. We have made it very easy. All you need to do is go right here to this link, get booked to speak. And when you click that link, it's going to take you immediately to Authority Speakers Agency. I mentioned, I think, that there's a small little questionnaire that is there, and fill that out. That is the beginning of the process. You are now in the capable and experienced hands of Amy and her team to kind of vet you and to start to match you, I would say, to where those stages are for you and for your message. And it's really no more difficult than that. And so I want to say thank you to someone, as I said, who has been in that audience, who has maybe been critiquing the person I'm listening to and saying, I could do that. Maybe I could do that a little bit better. Oh, I would do it a little bit of a different way. Why did he say that? Why did she do this? Well, then maybe that's the world tapping you on the shoulder saying, well, then get on that stage. Hear your own voice. Let others hear your voice. And as Amy said, not everyone is meant to be on stage as a public speaker, but everyone is meant to be happy.
Yes.
Right? Everybody can be happy. And when you connect with Amy Dix, as you've experienced here today, she brings happiness right to the table. She is happiness alive and bringing it to everyone who's in earshot or view of Amy Dix. That was my very, very first impression. And you do nothing but continue to cement that impression in my mind. So Amy, thank you so much for joining
you,
me
Beth.
on B.E.P Talks, where your beliefs, your experience, truly your passions, your talents have come to life for you, for your success, and now using that to help others find their beliefs, their experiences, their passions, their success. And in that, I say thank you for bringing happiness to my world this day. And I look forward to connecting with you again. And to our viewers, I say thanks for joining. Connect with Amy Dix. Learn where your stage is, because all the world is a stage. So until we talk again, thanks. And may the best always be yet to come. Bye for now.